welcome to Annie D's Purple Sofa, where all the conversations happen, I'm telling you now. And of course, today is no exception, as I talk to Chandra Cleveland today. Of course, this lady is on a mission as she spends her time saving innocent victims from dire situations, and it's sexual trafficking that I am talking about today. And of course, she's on right now, fantastic stuff. So I am going to get her on right now, where she can give you a bit more clarity. Now, this situation affects at least 20 to 30 million people across the world, and hence why I'm talking to Chandra today. Let's see if she can get on here. I know we had a few hitches at the beginning. Of course, that is not going to stop me, as you know. At last, Chandra, welcome. So, Chandra, thank you so much for coming on today. And I know it's been hard. Absolutely. Absolute pleasure to have you.
Thank you so much for having me.
No, I couldn't do without you. You know, I've been trying to track you. I think the tables have turned today completely. But you know, this whole conversation though is so worth it if it goes to helping just even one person out there. I thought slavery had been abolished, but by the looks of it and our previous discussions, it looks like it is here and it never left. And we are talking human trafficking. We are talking in particular sexual trafficking. I'd like to know how you first got into this.
Well, how it came to me is that after being in law enforcement for 25 years, 22 years, I decided to go out on my own as a private investigator. Mm-hmm. And a private investigator that just particularly deal with women, crimes against women, girls, and children. And so I was in my office, and as soon as I opened my business, it was taken on very well. So I got a lot of business. And just by chance, I work all during the night finding missing girls. I put an ad in a Back Pages, which was a well-known site for trafficking girls. And at the time, I didn't know that. And a young lady came into my office, and she was skimpily dressed. My secretary at the time said, you might want to come out and see this girl. She's showing everything but her social security number. So I went out to the lobby and I met with her and told her who I was. And I said, well, I'm going to have you come back into another office and sit here and wait for me. And it was at that time that I was enlightened about what was sex trafficking. Yeah. Because after talking to her, and I asked her, why do you think it was okay for you to come into my office dressed that way? And her eyes started welling up with tears. And I was like, it's okay. I'm just asking a question. And she told me, she said, this was the best thing that I had to wear that I could present myself. Oh, God. And I was like, wow. And I said, why did you think that? And she said, well, I have been sold to multiple men out of a hotel here in South Carolina. I was brought here by a soldier that is stationed at Fort Jackson. And I was like, what? You know, it was my first incident with sex trafficking. So I was able to talk to her, and I never let her go home right after then. I got her housing, clothing, food, everything she needed, and started an investigation on that soldier.
Again, how big is this whole industry? Again, I'd just love to hear it from you.
Oh, it is huge. Sex trafficking, when it first started out, and we started looking at it in about 2008, 2007, it was like an $8 billion business. Now it is $150 billion industry.
I'm just lost for words, as you can see. I mean, this is a business that is doing a hell of a lot better than most businesses out there. This is just crazy.
Exactly.
I just don't get this. So what happens on a daily basis? How does somebody get in touch with you? And once they have, what are your steps then thereafter?
Well, usually I've been blessed that I don't have to do much advertisement, but I give out so much information until when a family is in that situation and their daughters are missing. After they call the local law enforcement, they usually hire me because I tell a lot of people, and they don't understand that law enforcement takes a report on your child that they're missing and put them in a database. They do not go look for your child. And time is never on your side when you're talking about looking for a child and letting them be in the less harm as possible by finding them quickly. And so they would hire me, and I would particularly go to their house, check out a few things, develop a track of where the girl could be, and then start making contacts within the area and putting up notices on social media, which is a great way, a quick way to get the information out there. And I get several calls about where they've seen her or not seen her. And in sex trafficking, also, you have some women that are of age that want to stay in the industry. So those women I help take care of also, because I know that the day that's going to come, that they will be victimized in a way that they may not want to stay there. So I always tell them, if you know of a victim, when you see I put something out, you see them in that area, call me so I can get that young girl help to get her out of that situation. And it works so well for me. I have a lot of ladies out there that called me and said, Investigator Cleveland, I think you might want to come and look at this one. She looks pretty young. Yeah.
Right. So what is the average age then of a victim?
What is the what now?
The average age.
Oh, the average age. Oh, probably in India, the average age is 6. In the United States, the average age is from 9 to 10. And then the girls who are of age that are probably 16 or 14, they usually are coerced to leave their home. The strategy of the perpetrator is usually almost the same. He let them know how beautiful they are, trick them into saying that they're the most beautiful girl, they can't live without them, buy them few things that they've been wanting that parents probably will not buy them, and then they get them to sneak away and be with them, and then they've gotten them.
What are the red flags then? Because at the end of the day, we are losing faith in any relationship, because people do go out, they meet, you know, you want to be in a normal relationship, but what are the red flags between a normal and one where you think you're being wheeled or groomed?
Yeah, one of the red flags for young girls is, let's just keep our relationship a secret. Anyone who tells you to keep a secret from your parents, that's not the great relationship. The other one is that they don't want you to show their information or tell anyone that you met them. Those are another red flags.
Right. So Ben, what is the kind of target that these people are looking for? There must be a particular profile of a personality that works for them.
Well, it really depends on the demographics. Sometimes they will just want a female, or if the target is a male, they want that male and they don't care what they have to do to get with it. But most of the girls who go for really high prices are the innocent young girls that they see with little pictures on, that's not in a flirtatious style. They're just young and just wanted to take a cute little picture. They go after those girls, and most likely those girls are virgins, and they sell virgins for a whole lot more money than the regular girls. So they go after little innocent ones that will talk to them, who probably have never talked to a boy before, and tell them all kinds of things of being pretty and that they would love to spend the rest of their lives with them and things like that, to get them to like them. And then the trust factor of talking to them a lot, probably on the 15th to 30th day, they said, why don't let's meet, and don't tell anybody we're going to meet.
Yeah, so I mean, this is probably why they also like them young, because it means they can influence them as well. It's easy, isn't it? You can brainwash them. So this is what I'm assuming.
Exactly. And the Stockholm syndrome with sex trafficking victims. Yeah, exactly. The Stockholm syndrome with sex trafficking victim is a huge factor. That's why
Yeah.
girls end up most of the time going back, because when they groom them, they tell them, like, if law enforcement ever takes you away from me, please contact me back. I want you forever. I want to be able to take care of you. And the girls believe that, and they end up contacting their traffickers as soon as they're released or going to a group home in order for them to come back and get them again.
Do you find sometimes that you're in a very dangerous position or a situation? Have you ever kind of worried for your own life, tried to get some of these girls out?
Oh, oh yes. Oh yes. I am in dangerous situations all the time that I go out, because anything could happen. And I am there spying and making sure that I get the right opportunity to go in and actually rescue the girl. So that takes quite a few days to make sure that, you know, many of these apartment complexes or subdivisions where they're trafficking these girls out of, they have lookouts. And the lookouts will see me, will try to, you know, see when you're coming and things like that. So it's quite dangerous. But me and my group, we are doing pretty good with being on top of being careful. And I'm so blessed for that.
I mean, is it then okay for you to come and do this interview? I mean, this is what's worrying me. The fact that you're actually looking at me and I can see you. And, you know, this interview will go out to people to help in any way it can. Do you feel that this is actually in a way also worrying to expose yourself, maybe?
Well, you know, I always say I am the one to educate people about the principles. Like, I have a team that's out there doing things, and me doing things behind the scene. So you won't be looking for me to actually be out there, but my team is always there.
Okay. So what's the hardest part of your job then?
The hardest part is getting the girls unbrainwashed. That's why it takes a lot of counseling once you get a girl who has been sex trafficked, to let her know her worth and let her know that the things that were happening to her were not for her good. And usually most of the time they know that it's not for their good, but somehow it's very hard to break them of not going back to their traffickers.
So how often are you called to do something like this, or your team?
I would say since COVID-19 and since they eased the restrictions a little, well, no, when it happened that everybody had to be locked in, I got several calls that young girls were missing. I had so many calls that I decided to do an online video asking parents to check on your daughters, to talk to them, see what's going on, so that they may not be one of the victims that are out there doing the COVID-19 shutdown with someone like a trafficker. So the numbers went up as we went into more seclusion, and now the numbers keep going up. I'm quite busy right now. I'm very busy.
Yeah, this is why I'm trying to grab the time that I can, even though people see that it's quite late here. But it's, it's a busy, even though it's early for you, I know that I'm taking you away from something immensely important, which I, absolutely thank you so much for. Because I know the gravity of the situation. I know the fact is that I'm sitting here talking to you, and every minute is valuable for you, because I could be taking your time, when you could be talking to someone else here, who definitely needs it. Now, you've talked about the size of the business. You've talked about the value of the business, how these people work. We've talked about the red flags. Now, I'm going to ask you a very direct question. You can choose to answer or not. What are the kind of people that are involved in something like this? This is no joke.
This is really no joke, because the type of people who are leading these efforts of sex trafficking are very wealthy people. And I say that you can look in any story and find out a wealthy man who's behind it. Also, there are people who are just in the community selling girls and not even getting a job. So it ranges from different area to area as who the players are. But for it to be $150 billion industry, we know that there's some very, very rich people involved of this sex trafficking.
And you would assume that they would know better, but obviously it's a mistake to think this. Chandra, I was watching Netflix and I was watching that movie on Jeffrey Epstein, Filthy Rich. And that is not an exaggeration. That's exactly what we're looking at, is it?
That's exactly. They are the first ones who showed the way that it's really done when it comes to people with power. Yeah, they got it. They hit the nail on the head with all of the things that were in that movie. It was very accurate information from what I was told from victims who have been on a high-ranking system such as that one.
But I didn't understand these girls that I can understand the first time, but they kept on going back. And I was just trying to understand, they weren't forced to go, but they of their own will kept on going back. What happens there? What is it, the weakness that we're playing on?
And they do not want to leave. I mean, they are there and they go back and forth because they like the treatment. Some of the women there, the reason why they go back, because they are called the bottom girls. The bottom girls are the girls who get a whole lot of additional luxuries than the actual victims, and they are actual victims as well. But the bottom girl gets a lot more freedom to check ties the other girls, to take them to get their hair done, to get them ready for whatever guy that's coming in next. So it is a cycle where the rich people really make a lot of money out of what they're doing.
Right. I am not going to put you on the spot, but you can. I will give you the option to say yes or no again. Are we talking about maybe politicians being at the top here, down to the ordinary man being involved in this whole racket?
We are talking about politicians. We're talking about multimillionaires who own football teams, TV stations, colleges, all of that. Yes.
Do we have any hope of eradicating this at all, if this is the case?
We can stop them from doing it the way that they have tried to now in a recent industry. It's like all before, we know that prostitution is the oldest profession in this world. And when it started turning from prostitution to sex trafficking of young girls, we have to stop that, because all before it wasn't like that. If you're someone who wants to do something on your own, it's fine. But if you're out there and you're targeting young girls or women who are not willing to do what you want to do, then we got to stop you. And we have to do everything in our power to stop them.
Well, has the strategy of the perpetrator changed then in the modern world? So if we're talking, from year A to year Z, has there been a change in the way that they work?
Yes, it is. It's always. And as long as there's technology and apps, those are the vulnerable changes that we see, that ways that they can get around it, because Backpages was a true main source around the whole industry, the entire world. People were coming from different places and know that they can go to Backpages to sell a girl or to buy a girl. And now that Backpages is down, I tell them it's good and bad, because before we knew where they were. We could actually trace them if they were on that Backpages and rescue girls a little bit faster. But now they're using all of these other apps that they can go in through Backways and DM the young girls and get them to do things and all that. So now we have to work a little bit harder, and time is lost of trying to find where that child is once they're gone.
What is the likelihood of success in what part of that time frame? So if you've got, say, what's the likelihood of a victim actually surviving if you're looking for them? Or could they be in this situation for years and you'd never find them? Or what is the time frame that you need, that you think, what, we can make this work, we can get the girl back?
If we get if we can get the girls back and get them the resources that they need in order to be unbrainwashed and know their value and get them addressed to the trauma in which they have received, the girl can bounce back in about 2 years. I don't say anything sooner than that, because the brainwash is really, really deep on how they do it. And sometimes if it's a really, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. I'm trying to get my head around this, to be honest. You say 2 years and that's the quickest. I mean, parents take years to bring up their children, yet it doesn't take almost 2 minutes for a perpetrator to brainwash or groom a young victim. This is what I can't get around.
Yeah, it is really serious. I mean, a lot of parents who have talked to their children, that children have never had access to anything like this, but this guy comes along and sells them a pipe dream, and they take it hook, line, and sinker. And it's because the parents did not make them aware of what sex traffickers do.
So then here it is. Then there are a lot of stakeholders in this. We've got parents. We've got the mind of the child as well, to a certain extent. We have the perpetrator. We have the state, as in the law. So what is the responsibility of every stakeholder here then? I don't know who's to blame. I don't know if there's anyone to blame. Who's responsible?
The stakeholder who's responsible is, I would say that law enforcement, just like they made us aware of gangs in our community, that they should learn more about sex trafficking, or hook up with connect to a nonprofit organization. Like many law enforcement that I deal with, I have a nonprofit as well, and we give them the necessary resources. They call us and let us do that part, because we do know that law enforcement is quite busy, and sex trafficking is a booming business that happens all the time, that they couldn't possibly answer and adequately investigate each one of them. But if we're all working together, we can bring those girls to them with most of the questions that they need answered in the project. Bring those answers as well. So, it's always, like I say, it's on all of us to take the initiative to learn about things that are going on in our world, especially when it pertains to our children or nieces and nephews that may be in your family. Because like me, myself, I never had any children, and I have always been in a space that children trust me. And so I don't take that trust lightly. So anytime that I see that they're having a problem or misunderstanding things or heading down the wrong road, I correct them on it and tell them why.
So what role could, say, a father or a mother, who's actually, I'm not sure who has more influence on a girl, a father or a mother at this point? So what could we do? What could one do to help a child, or probably make them less vulnerable to this kind of grooming?
I think it would be very, very, very good if the father would take the initiative to let the girl know. I've been a man too. This is some of the things when I was young, I used to hear about guys doing this and that. Just having that conversation, making that daughter remember what the father said, telling your daughter that you love her at an earlier stage than for her to be excited by this unknown man telling her he loves her, or that she's beautiful, and end up leading her down a rabbit hole that he did not want her to go. So I think it's very, very important for father-daughters to have that great relationship and talk about sex trafficking intentionally, not beat around the bush, but talk to them about it. And if they do not know how to talk to them about it, go to a training with her so that they can better understand it.
Right. So it's about strengthening that mind from the beginning. Is that what we're saying? Okay, rather than just letting them out loose. No, fair enough. I mean, do you have any numbers? So if somebody wants to contact you, so over here I've got a number. So in America or anywhere else, is there one general or global number or one contact that people could use if they are in an emergency situation like this?
Yes, the sex trafficking hotline. The sex trafficking hotline is the number one thing to always call. Human trafficking has always, it's like in every state, they have the same sex trafficking hotline for the girls in order to get help. They can text the help, or they can just call them, either way.
Mm-hmm. Do you have a number on you?
Yes. The number is, I'm going to pull it up here now. I always get the 8s all confused, but anywhere you are in the world, you can call 888-73. I'm sorry, it's 888-373-7888. That's what I was saying about, it's so many 8s. So that is 888-373-7888. That is the national help hotline for sex trafficking. Or you can just text HELP, HELP, to 233-733.
Right, brilliant. Because I've got one here for India, so I'm not quite, I mean, I hope this is still valid. I mean, it's +91 for all my listeners out there. So basically, this is aimed at anyone who thinks they're in danger, somebody who thinks they're in a relationship where somebody is convincing them not to let anyone know, or anybody who thinks they see someone who could be vulnerable. So the number here for any of your listeners here now, 958-290-9025. And I'll repeat the number once again, +91 958-290-9025. And of course, you've got the national helpline, the child line on 1098. That is 1098. I mean, you know, I was reading that activists are saying it is just hugely underreported, these crimes, and the figures that we see on the internet could be way higher than what we think they are. I mean, this is a sad thing in all of this. But Chandra, thank you so much for being here. I know that you're on a run. I know that you've got, you know, as you said, you're really busy on this. And I feel guilty actually taking your time away. But, you know, for me, this is really useful. If I can just get something permanently out there, which people can refer to, you never know who it could help. So that's why I did this today. But although, as I said, I do feel guilty for taking your time away. But thank you so very much. Any last thoughts before you leave today? Or before we leave, actually?
I would say to anyone, I would say to anyone, if you think it's sex trafficking, we do not care. Call and make someone aware of it and the location. We will determine if it was or not. But please always do something. Get educated. You can go online and take free classes and all. Just get educated on sex trafficking so you also can be an advocate for girls who are really looking for someone to help save them.
Right. Thank you so much, Chandra. I mean, we know that it's been really hard to get to you today. As I said, I was the one that was tracking you. But we made it.
I'm sorry. It's just so busy. I just be going in and out. But I'm glad we got this opportunity, because the more people are aware of it, then the more eyes we have out there to look and save our girls.
Absolutely. And thank you so much, viewers. As I said, this will be going out. And if you do want to see more of this and hear more of this, then please like and subscribe to my YouTube channel, Annie D in Conversation With. Of course, you can also come to my website where you can read about it as well, annied.in. That's ANNIED.in. And of course, you can also follow me on Instagram where you see all these interviews. It's Annie D Conversations. I'm absolutely everywhere. And I'm also hoping, because I'm everywhere, this information goes out everywhere too. So thank you so much, Chandra. And I just hope this goes towards saving at least one person today, or at least somewhere in the world. Thank you so very much.
All righty. Thank you so much for having me. Have a great one and be safe.
You too. Bye-bye now.
Bye-bye.